You do not want to do this when selling a house in Georgia. Seriously, don't. Let's talk shit. I mean, literal shit. Septic tanks are common here in Georgia, and best practice, basic upkeep of a septic system is having that system inspected and pumped out every 3 to 5 years. Why that range? Well, it depends on how many people are going number 2 in your home. You may have a 4-bedroom home. Let's say that you're a modern day Brady Bunch. Well, then you're going to have a bunch of, you get what I'm trying to say. If you own a home on a septic tank and you have not had it pumped out, do it. I had a seller once, and while meeting with her to talk about selling her home, she told me she had never had it pumped out. She said everything's always worked just fine. And that very well may be the case, but you don't know until you know that it's not working. You could have problems going on underground and you'll never know until it backs up into your house. I told her we immediately needed to do this prior to listing. And so when the septic company came out to do their duties, they discovered that her husband, well, ex-husband, and I'm sure this story doesn't help, but he had built a very expensive retaining wall right on top of that septic system access panel. So what started out as a $500 job quickly escalated to a $2,000 job. And well, shit hit the fan. That's not the only horror story that I've come across. I actually had a seller one time pour a whole concrete driveway on top of the septic system. And in fact, he never even knew he had a septic system. How does that happen? It didn't end well. The buyer backed out of that contract quickly. So another common mistake I see is sellers not choosing the right agent. But you would expect me to say that, right? Pick me. Choose me. Any Grey's Anatomy fans? So this is probably the number one factor and the biggest mistake I see sellers make. They pick an agent off of Zillow, or better yet, they just choose a family friend or someone that just got licensed. This is not to say that they aren't great or have the potential to be great, but would you choose to let a brand new surgeon operate on you, or would you vet them out? Ask for recommendations, get a reference, etc. Interview them. You get the point. Selling your house is like financial surgery. For many sellers, this is going to likely be your biggest financial investment, and you want to make sure it is in the right hands. The next mistake that has recently become a growing problem is pricing your home too high. But Sarah, it's a great market. Bidding wars, waived appraisals. I can demand any price I want. Yes. And you can also let the market tell you what your house is worth, and they will, for sure. And when the market tells you that your house is priced too high, you have missed a great window of opportunity. This past year has been unlike anything else in the real estate market, and it can be hard for even seasoned agents to keep up. I get it. You see your neighbor's house sell for $350,000 last year, and then another neighbor lists in January for $370,000, and then Bob and Sue, they just closed on their home this summer for $400,000. And so naturally, you're going to list your house and you say, hey, let's list it at $425,000. Maybe we should even test the market at $435,000. Not so fast. The recent price drops you may have been getting alerts for are from sellers who were way too aggressive and sought aspirational pricing on their home. These price reductions are getting them back down to the range that they should be at. Let's take, for instance, an auction. You see a really great car at an auction and you see it and it's priced too high, like way too high. It is not comparable to what something recently just sold for at the auction. And it was almost the exact same car, but someone just last week paid $20,000, $30,000 less. So maybe you make a bid and the seller doesn't accept the bid because they think it's too low. They know that this is a great market and this is what we're asking for the car, the house. You get what I'm trying to say. Slowly, people stop offering. And then so you finally realize that you've priced it too high and you need to drop it back down to where it should be. So you do a price reduction. Well, all those people that wanted that car last week, they're not there anymore. They've already gone on. They bought another car. They went to another auction. And so now that demand is gone, you've missed that great window of opportunity. Maybe that car analogy doesn't quite translate, but you get what I'm trying to say. And this leads me to my next selling mistake with sellers that are making these mistakes right now. Yes, the market is great. Yes, you're going to be able to sell at a record price if you price it right. But for the love of sweet baby Jesus, you still have to get your house ready to sell. You need to take care of that wood rot on the outside, the grimy, slimy walls, missing doorknobs. No one wants to pay top dollar for a house that is in a beat up condition. Now, what you can expect is that you will not have to do any crazy renovations or knock out walls to maximize the value. And this leads me to my next mistake that I see sellers make. They don't meet with a real estate agent soon enough. They call right after they decide to do the kitchen remodel or put in the $25,000 fire pit. Meeting with an agent very early in the process can cause you to save a lot of heartache and a lot of money. Think back to that seller in the septic tank. Thankfully, we caught the issue early before we were under contract with the buyer. And I can think of over a dozen situations where I have coached and talked with clients about scenarios where it made sense to improve or made sense not to improve. And each time it ended up saving my seller money. And finally, the biggest mistake I see sellers make right now is getting caught up in the frenzy of this great market. Yes, it's a fantastic time to sell, but remember, the market you sell in is also the market you buy in. You can't expect to get top dollar for your home and then think you're going to turn around and find your next home at a bargain. It's often a wash unless you are needing to sell in order to move to a different market, different school district, or even downsize. Time and time again, do I meet with sellers thinking that they're ready to pull the trigger to sell with aspirations of moving, 15 minutes away or maybe even downsizing, only for that seller to be sorely disappointed to find out what their budget will actually get them or what they think they want their budget to be. So what you are making in this home sale will likely be needed to go straight into the next house. And where I do see people win in this area is locking in a phenomenal interest rate. So when you can combine the equity of your current home along with the amazingly low interest rate, even if you end up spending more on your next house, in the long run, you're going to be better financially than if you were to put off the move or wait for the market to come down a little bit. This is definitely something to consider if you are wanting to make a local move for school district purposes or downsizing or upsizing. Yes, the prices are expensive, but look at that interest rate. I definitely don't want you to make these mistakes whenever you are selling your home. So whether you are selling in Georgia or in a different state, reach out to me and my team. We will personally make sure that you are taken great care of, or we will do the vetting for you to find you a phenomenal real estate agent in your town to make sure that you don't end up Schitt's Creek without a paddle.